The Beatles formed in Liverpool, England in 1960. They were a groundbreaking rock band that captured the hearts and souls of millions worldwide. Comprised of 4 talented musicians, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, they redefined the music industry with their fresh sound and innovative songwriting. But they weren't just musicians, they were cultural icons who stood for a set of powerful values. During a time of great social change, they became symbols of peace, love, and unity. Their music, infused with heartfelt messages, reflected their values. Whether it was All You Need Is Love, Revolution, or Let It Be, their songs struck a chord with listeners, inspiring hope and encouraging a sense of togetherness. Here Paul breaks down the meaning of the Beatles in a simple yet profound way.
What do you think is the lasting meaning of the Beatles, if there's a meaning to be taken from this?
All you need is love. You know, after the 60s, that was kind of looked on as a bit sort of stupid. You know, hey, all you need is love, dude. You know, well, you need more. You know, we need weapons and we need defense or whatever, you know, which is also true. But it's coming back. It keeps rolling back, this idea that what these people on this planet need is love, you know. I always say to people, you know, we could have had a really satanic message. And with the power we had, boy, you know, we could have made quite a difference the other way. But we always chose not to do that. Nobody was remotely interested in that. We had this idea that all you need is love. Dude.
In the end,
I still believe it. I think the idea gets knocked every so often because, you know, it's a violent world and that you do need other things. But I still think that's the message.
Many people often contemplate the question, what is God? It's looked at as one of the most complicated questions one could answer in life, although Ringo is able to explain it in the most simple and profound way possible. Although that's just my opinion. Hear it in Ringo's words and decide if his definition is true to you.
I'm going to ask you a very simple question, Ringo. What is God?
God to me, my God in my life, God is love. Pure love. Love is an incredible power. You know, if you give out love, the reaction to it is so great, even to like crazy violent people. If you give out love, they stop for a minute because everybody notices love when it's coming your way. You know, and you feel incredible when you give love back. I feel that, you know, as you go through life, you make certain moves and it's very hard, these moves, and you don't feel good about it. But if you're doing something with love, all of this behind you, all over the world, will support you. So that's how it is. That's how the world works. It's all the one God. The books I've read, it all says good and love. Vietnamese monk, whose name I can never pronounce, but he's saying that, you know, just in your daily life, to be doing things. And he says, you know, like when you get to the traffic light, it's no good getting crazy. Just love the red light, and then when it changes, drive on. And he says, and when you're angry, it's no good being angry at yourself, because then you're twice as angry. I like to keep that in my life also.
It's convoluted because there are a lot of religions that believe that their God is greater. Oh, a lot of people.
Yes, but that's people. This is not God. This is what the religion says. And the people who, are in that religion. I am not religious. I'm trying my best on a daily basis to have a spiritual life. I think, everybody wants their religion to be, universe-wide. And they're not. Like all the natives of long ago, most of them we wiped out in the name of religion, let live. The American Indians couldn't understand the concept of buying land. What do you mean you want the land? It's for all of us, And the world is for all of us. We are one. Now, I feel I had spiritual moments as a young kid. And, I feel I had spiritual moments as a teenager, just seconds. There's things I remember of this emotion. And, as you know, we went to India and Maharishi and we tried that and we looked at that. And since then, we're just like looking and searching and hoping and crying and laughing. I heard one guy say, Carl Jung, he was so great. He was asked, do you still believe in God? And he said, no. He says, I know.
I don't need to believe. I know.
He's the only one I ever knew who said, I know. How great is that? People are frightened of the word God. You know what I mean? They don't, oh, God. I mean, well, you can't just say God. Well, you can. Someone asked me once, well, what is your concept? And I went to go off into these 60s madness of energy and things like that. And I thought, oh my God. I thought, no, God is love. Keep it simple.
What do you think happens when you die?
Personally, I believe I go somewhere.
So you believe that your spirit is separate from your body?
I do.
Do you believe
and
that
the spirit does not cause the madness, and it's not the power-hungry situation that a lot of humans go into. That's the human condition. God is love. Love is love. And the more we put love in our life, that's all I ever want to say. There's more love on the planet.
And the theme of love as a core value continues across all the Beatles members. Here John expresses that love is the underlying theme to the universe.
Sort of dawned on me that love was the answer when I was younger. On the Beatles' Rubber Soul album, the first expression of it was a song called The Word. The word is love. In the good and the bad books I have read, whatever, where the word is love seemed like the underlying theme to the universe, or to everything that was worthwhile, got down to this love thing. And it was the struggle to love, be loved, and express that. There's something about love that's fantastic, even though I'm not always a loving person. I want to be that. I want to be as loving as possible, or in the Christian sense, as Christ-like as possible, in the Hindu sense, as Gandhi-esque as possible. We all survived Vietnam or Watergate or the tremendous upheaval of the whole world that's changed. We were the hip ones in the 60s, but the world is not like the 60s anymore. The whole map's changed, and we're going into an unknown future, but we're still all here. We're still, while there's life, there's hope. Any artist or poet's role is to try and express what we all feel, not to tell people how to feel, not as a preacher, not as a leader, but as a reflection of us all. And it's like, that's the job of the artist in society, they're not some alienated being living on the outskirts of town. It's fine to live on the outskirts of town, but artists must reflect what we all are. That's what it's about, artists. All we're saying is give peace a chance literally came out of my mouth as a spoken word to a reporter after being asked millions and millions of times, what are you doing? Well, all I'm saying is give peace a chance, not that I have the answer or I've got a new format for society, because I don't, and I don't believe anybody else has. Show me the plan, as Revolution said. The Beatles' Revolution, my Revolution song says, show me the plan before we knock all the buildings down,
Many people look up to the Beatles. But what kind of people do the Beatles look up to? One of them was Maharishi Mahesh, who was the person who introduced them to meditation and the reason for their trip to Rishikesh in 1968.
It was actually George Harrison's wife, Patty, who had heard that Maharishi was coming to town. And she said we should all go. It was one of those things. And I was personally not in a good place. I think, just overdoing it in the 60s. So I was just not very sort of centered, and I was looking for something. I think we all were. So we heard that Maharishi was going to have a meeting and give a lecture, and we all went along to listen. It was very interesting. It was very calming, and it seemed like something that was worth trying. He put it very well. He made it seem simple. He made it seem very attractive. And so I think we were all just sold. So what happened then, we went to Bangor in Wales, and we attended a little seminar there. And then eventually we went out to Rishikesh with him, which was more sustained. It was great. It was very straightforward, very simple. Wake up, you would then go for breakfast in the morning, a light breakfast. You just socialise a bit with the other members and just get to know each other. And then you would go back for your morning meditation. You go back to your room. We had little chalets kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Each of us had little rooms, mm-hmm. which were very simple but adequate. And you would just sit and you would meditate. Then there was lunch, and you'd socialise and chat and stuff. And then you'd meditate in the afternoons. Sometimes Maharishi would have a meeting every so often with you. And you could talk to him about your experiences and he would help, mm-hmm. guide you. Mm-hmm. And then in the evening there was a kind of question and answer session, mm-hmm. which was slightly more formal. That was in a hall. And we would all just be in there, all the students, and Maharishi would come on and talk. And then he would take questions. He would just listen mm-hmm. About people's experiences. And that was the sort of thing that happened each day. But yeah, there were some very blissful moments. I remember one in particular when I'd been meditating for a little while and I'd got to a really good place. And I remember the feeling was that I was a feather. I felt like I actually was a feather floating over a hot air pipe. And it was a very nice feeling. And I remember that vividly. Uh-huh. And I reported that to Maharishi and he giggled, yes, this is good.
People always say I'm the Beatle who changed the most, but really that's what I see life is about. Unless you're God conscious, then you have to change because it's a waste of time. Everybody is so limited and so really useless when you think about the limitations on yourself. And the whole thing is to change, try and make everything better and better. And that's what the physical world is about, it's change. Change that happens through meditation. I mean, it's a gradual sort of thing. But the more you realize with anything, with just growing older, the more you realize it helps you in some way. With meditation, you're able to understand that there is this unity lying beneath everything. There's something there within every atom that holds it all together, and that in actual fact it really is one. But on an intellectual level, to say it is we are one, then, I mean, again, you miss the point. It's an experience. You have to really have that perception. Maharishi said, for a forest to be green, each tree must be green. So if you stand back and criticize the rest of the people, it's again, Christ said, put your own house in order. Automatically, if I'm to criticize somebody else, I suddenly come back to myself and realize until I'm straight, then I'm in no position to be able to criticize others. Any time of the day, any situation you're in, you can get control of yourself just by sitting quietly and by turning off from the external problems we have, noise and all this society. You can go inside yourself where it's always calm and peaceful. On this level of consciousness, it's like the ocean, which is always changing, and the bottom of the ocean is always calm and still. And if you're not anchored to the bottom of the ocean, you're at the mercy of whatever change goes on. So that you can still act out your life on the surface, but you remain anchored securely.
When asked about astral projection, he relates back to experiences he had during meditation. His views on astral projection and death also seem to carry similar traits.
A strange experience when I was in Rishikesh. I went on a meditation course where the object was to meditate deeper and deeper and deeper for longer periods of time, to plug into the divine energy and to raise your state of consciousness and tune in to the subtler states of consciousness, and all those things like walking on the water and dematerializing your body at will are just sort of things that happen along the way. So it's hard to actually explain it, but it was just a feeling of just the consciousness traveling. Mm-hmm. I don't know where to, and it wasn't up, down, left or right. No body there, but at the same time you don't feel as though you're missing anything. You know, the consciousness is complete. How I see it is that the soul is in this body for a period of time, and then it leaves the body. It's like, in a way, the body is like a suit that you put on.
Do you have any idea where it goes?
Christ said in the Bible about the 3 cages for the bird of paradise, which is the soul being the bird of paradise, and the 3 cages being the 3 bodies that house the soul. And there's they call it the causal body, and then around that's the astral body, and then there's the gross physical body. So death is really when the physical body falls off, but the soul's still in 2 other bodies, so it's then on the astral level.